Welcome to Beat the Champ, presented by Storm, and today's lineup is all Rochester, trying to knock off our defending champion, Derrick Greene. Hi everybody, I'm Paul Peck with Hall of Fame bowler Sue Nawojski. How do you sum up this amazing run of Derrick Greene? He's won in all kinds of ways, but he keeps winning.
You never see him let down, you never see him put it away, and he just keeps on going. I think it's going to be, he's going to be tough to beat.
All right, well, let's ask Derrick. Intensity and focus, are those good words to describe some of the keys to this winning streak for you?
Definitely. I take bowling very serious with my shot making, and I have the confidence in the gear that I have to make the win today.
The fact that you have won in a lot of different ways through these last 5 weeks, how much has that made you a better bowler?
Very. Training, all the practicing I do at 8 hours is paying off.
All right, well, let's see if Derrick can make it 6 in a row or if one of those Rochester guys is going to take home the title. It is time to get it going. It's Beat the Champ, presented by Storm. Let's get rolling. Beat the Champ is sponsored by Storm, the Bowlers Company, and by Latina Boulevard Foods, your favorite family in food distribution. And we get it started with Shaq Strong against Ricky Zinone. It is our first match of the day here at ABC Gates Bowl. A little shake of the hands for those two guys who know each other as regular bowlers here at ABC Gates Bowl. And Ricky Zinone, 38 years old from Greene, New York, will start us off.
I feel like our stay here in Rochester has been kind of an even mix of right-handers and left-handers, but today is accumulated to be mostly left-handers.
We do seem to get it to cycle around to the lefties at some point, don't we?
Yeah, and the difference is there's been a little bit more play almost on the left side of the lane than the right side of the lane, so they're going to see the challenge of transition.
Which is unusual, right? Just
right.
by the fact that there are a lot more righties than lefties, those guys usually always have an advantage. So we'll see if Ricky Zinone can work his way to that. Bowls a couple of leagues every week, especially here at the ABC Gates Bowl. And he starts things off with a spare.
I should say these two have had a little additional practice today as they bowled a tournament here this morning, and went home and caught a nap and are back to
hey, that's the way to do it.
Bowl
isn't
against
it?
each other again.
I could have used a nap at some point here today, but then again, our bowling has been so amazing this month that it has kept all of us on our toes. Shaq Strong is 28 years old from here in Rochester. Speaking of naps, it would not shock me if Shaq has a cot somewhere in here because he said he bowls here 5 nights a week.
That's right. That's right, and a tournament on Sundays, so that is a lot.
And he's got a big cheering section on hand, as you can see to his left here at ABC Gates Bowl. Comes from a family of bowlers. That's where his interest in this sport has come from since he was 5 years old. He thought he might have upwards of 20 people here cheering him on, and I think he's pretty close to that number.
You'd almost think that we were in Pittsburgh based on all the Steelers jerseys out there.
That's right. So the interesting thing is, particularly for a guy like Shaq and a guy like Ricky, they know this house, and they know how it changes. They know how to adjust it. So it'll be interesting to see, particularly when we get to our championship match against Derrick, whether that could be an advantage or not.
Well, the only advantage that is out there for Derrick is that he is now bowled a lot here, and his average has been pretty good. Wow, that looked like a really great shot off his hand.
It looked great. It absolutely. I thought the same thing. So Ricky's interesting because he's got ties to both the Rochester and Buffalo bowling world as someone who lives in Greece, went to high school at Greece Athena High School, but went to college at ECC and was part of their amazing bowling program. So Ricky knows both ends of it.
Yeah, it was a great time for bowling when ECC had their program with Kerm Helmer and Buff State had their program with Roy Summer. It was a really great time for bowling in Buffalo, and Rochester as well. That's when the competition between the two towns were at its highest.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the fun things that through the course of our month-long stay here at the ABC Gates Bowl, that we've learned a little bit about what level of rivalry there is between the two cities. And I think the consensus, Sue, is the quality of bowling is pretty darn equal between the group of Buffalo bowlers and the group of Rochester bowlers. Is there some competition friendly? You bet there is, right? We want to be better than you, but in the end, the goal is to further the sport in both places, and I would assume that the Buffalo and Rochester bowlers team up enough in tournaments around the country that, hey, we're Western New York bowlers. That's
a very good point. I think that in some ways they almost look at each other as one and the same more than as competitors. They see each other all the time at the same tournaments, and the same people support a lot of the local tournaments, and they go back and forth between Buffalo and Rochester. Is not really considered that far away.
.223 average for Shaq Strong at 28 years old. Plumber pipe fitter is his occupation. And as we said, been bowling since he was 5 years old. The family got him into it. He's had 8 300 games. He's had a high 803 series. High school bowler. Just a guy that loves the sport. And if you don't love the sport, you're not doing it 5 nights a week.
Right. I think that, in every house, lanes have nuances. That's why someone like Derrick would keep track of lanes that he's hit and the characteristics of them. I think we're seeing on this pair that the right lane picks up more than the left lane, because you can see these bowlers, even the left-handers, are playing far more direct on the left lane, and the right lane has been the challenge, trying to negate the risk of going high or moving in too much and going light. So that seems to be the great equalizer here, is the right lane, so nobody can really get anything going.
And speaking of, what we talked about, we had a great turnout for the league qualifying portion of Beat the Champ. Over 100 bowlers tried to qualify for this show, and that's an amazing number, and it gives you an idea of how important the sport is, not just in this city, but particularly at this house.
Right, and then Beat the Champ coming to Rochester is exciting for them, and they get a TV show here.
We've had a ball being here, and certainly hope we get a chance to come back, whether it's here or other places in Rochester. We'd love that opportunity as well. And what this does is gives guys like Shaq, and Shaq in particular, his first chance to ever bowl in a TV setting.
That's right.
We've talked about this a little bit over the years. What's the biggest thing that a young bowler or any bowler like Shaq, who has never been on TV before? I believe Ricky has been on a couple of occasions. What's the adjustment? What do they have to get used to?
I think it's going to be more nerves. I mean, there's lights, but as soon as you throw your first ball, I think it's just bowling, and it's just a match against another person. The practice session and the hoopla and the cameras around you and the producers and the microphones.
Yammering away over here, right?
Yeah. And maybe a little bit of that. I suppose every shot is like shooting 300 in league, because when you go up to bowl, it's quiet.
Yeah.
And no one likes that. This is the only thing I ever hear when someone has the first 10 or 11 is like, I wish people would just keep bowling.
Because you're used to the general clamor of a bowling center, right? You know, it's rare that as you look down the shot at the other 40 lanes heading the other direction, it's very rare that no one is on any of them. That just doesn't happen.
I think it's a unique experience that if you bowl at a certain level, it's probably something you've all thought about. Even when you have to make a big shot to win something, even if it's league, to win your point, something in a bowler's mind emulates having to make a great shot in this type of condition. It's just sort of something that you visualize, and being here has to be like the accumulation of a lot of those thoughts.
Ricky changed balls, and it was a good idea because that gets him his first strike in the 5th frame. So he spared the first 4. Shaq had a strike in 2 and spares in 1, 3, and 4 as he gets set to toe the line for his 5th frame. There we go. A good match going on between these two guys right now.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's running away with it. They're keeping it pretty close. It's a 3-pin match with Shaq leading, and they both have strikes posted up, so they're in good shape.
High school bowler at Wilson High School was Shaq Strong, part of his love of this sport, as we mentioned, and has been able to continue to get better and better. He wanted to personally say he's had an incredible amount of support from Kelvin Parker, one of the co-owners here at ABC Gates Bowl, and that has contributed to him becoming the kind of bowler who gets this chance on TV. 6th frame for Shaq Strong is a 2nd strike. That'll take us to a timeout. We'll come back. It's our first match here at ABC Gates Bowl. We continue with BTC at ABC.
What is it about bowling that captivates us so much? Mastery of the game is impossible, but perfection is just within reach. Success seems to lie 60 feet ahead, but the real battle takes place 6 inches between your ears. So if no matter how many times you fail, you would still do anything, and I mean anything, just to get 1% better. We know exactly how you feel.
Hey, Paul, what are you doing?
Hey, Sue. Hey, didn't you hear? We're bowling on MSG. I've got to practice.
No, Paul, we're not bowling on MSG. We're hosting bowling on MSG.
Oh, thank goodness, because there is no way I was going to be ready. Beat the Champ here on MSG. Soon Nawojski and I will bring you all the action. We'll see you on the lanes.
Paul, were you going to bowl in a suit?
What is it about bowling that captivates us so much? Mastery of the game is impossible, but perfection is just within reach. Success seems to lie 60 feet ahead, but the real battle takes place 6 inches between your ears. So if no matter how many times you fail, you would still do anything, and I mean anything, just to get 1% better. We know exactly how you feel.
We continue with our first match of the day. That is Shaq Strong taking on Ricky Zinone. While we were gone, Ricky had back-to-back strikes in the 6th and 7th frames. Shaq with a spare in the 7th, so he probably needs a couple more strikes here to stay paced with Ricky Zinone, who's bowling very well.
We definitely had a lead change. Ricky was up he's up about 8 pins now by posting up that double. Another
Not
pesky
quite.
10-pin.
Yep.
Again, that light swisher hit isn't a reliable hit here and in this particular condition. So you need a little bit more of a high flush hit for the strike. These have been kind of risky.
All these guys have made all their spares, to their credit. I was a little worried I might have been a jinx there. My heart skipped a beat when that thing headed down the lanes. Like, don't be the reason why Shaq misses his first
I know.
spare.
So far, I've done it twice.
I know. You know, they always blame us.
Yep.
All right, so it's actually working 3 in a row now for Ricky Zinone, 5, 6, and 7. Yeah, and it was a ball change right before this run that is now up to 4 in a row, and there you go. This is a game about the smarts and the mind sometimes more than it is the physical part of it.
Oh, sure. The technology has a lot to do with everything. I mean, we talked about everybody having to be perfect earlier. Last week we were talking about how perfect you had to be. If you can find a ball that'll give you a little bit of room, you don't have to be as perfect. And he has now established himself in 19-pin lead.
62 career 300s and a high 847 series for Ricky Zinone. Five in a row. His profession is working in a casino, and he is dealing right now.
He's really got it figured out.
Yes, he does. And again, credit on the ball change, because he had, and hey, credit to even struggling. He made 4 straight spares to begin this match, changes balls, and now it is 5 consecutive strikes. And the pressure really on Shaq Strong now. There you go. That's the answer you needed.
Well, he definitely missed his target to the right on that. Got lucky, caught the Brooklyn strike, not what he was going for. He's really looking for oil, and but he's pulling the ball a little bit, causing it to go right a little sooner than he wants it to.
So the goal now is for Shaq to strike out, put the pressure on Ricky Zinone in the 10th frame. Next up, Bob Day, the competitor waiting for the winner of this match. There's Shaq doing what he needs to.
Well, I hope he really enjoyed his experience coming here on TV, because I know how much bowling means to him.
Yeah, you got that sense from when we talked to him before the match, how important this sport has been to him.
I hope he makes the trip to Buffalo next week to try to make the show for the next center we're at in Tonawanda.
Yeah, that'd be great. And again, all of our bowlers, Shaq, Ricky, and everybody else on the show is eligible for the Beat the Champ Invitational at the end of the season, where all the bowlers that appeared on the show get a special invite to qualify for that final show, where we will sort of crown our playoff champion. And that'll be a lot of fun. So some of these names and faces you will definitely see again. And that will put Shaq Strong at 212 as a final score. And all Ricky needs here is some count, and he will advance on to take on another veteran of the ABC Gates Bowl. That's Bob Day. How's that for count?
He is still perfect with that ball change.
So Ricky Zinone has come up with the victory here over Shaq Strong. He'll take on Bob Day in our next match. That is coming up next on Beat the Champ, presented by Storm. Match number 2. The winner of this match tries to be the one to knock Derrick Greene off his 5-match winning streak. Will it be Bob Day or Ricky Zinone? Zinone off the 243 to 212, commanding victory over Shaq Strong in our opening match. Ricky looked good. That ball change was the key for him. Looks like he's going to stick with the good, lucky bowling ball right now. Why not?
Don't change what's working.
Absolutely not. So we have had a wonderful time here at the ABC Gates Bowl. And we do want to mention that, we've talked about it in previous shows, 48 lanes here. It's one of the biggest bowling centers in all of Western New York, Buffalo or Rochester. And they have a great tournament every year. They host some pro tournaments, PWBA tournaments, but as far as the Rochester community goes, the Bud Light Challenge is a big one next up in November of 2025. Tell everybody about it.
Yeah, that's right. That tournament's been going on for quite some time now, probably about 15 years.
22nd
I'm
year.
sorry, it's 20.
Yeah.
Wow, time flies for me. It's moved around a little bit based on bowling centers that close or go out of business, but it's settled here at Gates Bowl. And one of the most successful scratch challenges that there are out there. Scratch bowler, individual bowlers, pays $5,000 to win, which is one of the bigger prize funds for amateur bowlers. And it's been a very, very successful run for Kelvin in that tournament.
Yeah, that's great. So, again, coming up next fall of 2025 is it will be the next one for the Bud Light Challenge, but just a great event here in the Rochester area. This is Bob Day, 66 years old, from here in Rochester. It's his second appearance. We saw him 2 weeks ago on the show where he battled his way through, but could not come up with a victory in that show 2 weeks ago. Actually, he did beat Bill Swyatt and then wound up losing to Nathan Pinney, who was the latest of Derrick Greene's victims in that crazy 1 point right down to the end, 1 pin battle that kept Derrick's winning streak alive. So Bob has already come on this show and won before, and he is looking to do it again.
Bob adapts to the KISS approach to bowling. He keeps it very simple. If you notice, he's very fundamentally correct, very old school in his approach, and just keeps it very, very simple.
And after that nice run of strikes for Ricky Zinone, he's seems to have lost a little something here on the last 2 throws.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of the lane breaking down. He's leaving 6 pins, so that just means that it's breaking up just a hair high for him. Little 2-in-1 move for him, to move his feet 2 feet to the right, and his target only 1. Should be able to catch himself just a little bit more oil. And that's the normal move for something when you start seeing a 4-pin. You do start to make a move on the lane. It's kind of that warning that your ball is going to start going high.
But one thing we learned about Ricky in that first match is he's pretty good at the adjustments.
Yeah.
Kind of knows when he needs to make one of them. And whatever he did, he made one there. It's a 3rd frame strike for Ricky Zinone.
Yep, there's a couple things you can do when you start to see that happen. Could look a little further down the lane and delay your break point. Or, like I said, you move 2-in-1 and catch yourself just a little bit more oil.
Strike and spare in the first 2 for Bob Day. You mentioned when you watch Bob bowl, it is all about fundamentals and smarts and simplicity. And maybe that has to do with he's been bowling for about 60 years. He's retired now, which means more time for bowling. A couple of nights a week here in the leagues here at the ABC Gates Bowl. So some of those things are all equivalent to having been around a long time and learned your lessons. Made a good run at that split, but comes up open in the 3rd frame.
Yeah, I think he's trying to catch some of that oil in the middle of the lane. And in this case, he just overdid it, pulled the ball quite a few boards, and it went up high for him. High enough to make him leave a tough split.
Yeah, you saw maybe a little extra moment there by Bob trying to figure out what he didn't do right on that last one. Lots of spinning pins, but not enough to take out the 7.
Yeah, this has been the tighter lane all along. You can see that ball went pretty far down the lane before it started to make a move. You can almost watch the break points and kind of know where the ball's going.
So that's a 4th frame spare pickup for Bob Day. And again, the open in the 3rd leaves an opportunity for Ricky to put some strikes together here and take some control.
Sticking with that ball up to this point.
There you go.
Made a couple good adjustments.
Yeah, it took a little while for the 10 to decide it wanted to bail out, but it did for a strike.
Really looks to me like he's getting it further down the lane. So he's he might have moved his target, throwing a little harder, just pushing it down the lane a little further before it picks up, and that's just been enough to kick out that 6 pin that he was leaving.
Do you make some of those adjustments together, or like you said, further down the lane, throw harder? Do you try one first? Do you try the other one second? You go, all right, well, do I try them both at the same time?
You're doing one or the other most likely. Like in this case, he just needed a small adjustment because he was leaving the 6 pin, so he wasn't losing the pocket altogether. So it looks to me like he wants his break point to be further down the lane, and that you can just do that by moving your eyes down the lane. So you just take the same target you had, push it down the lane more, and that's delaying the hook.
So it's 3 in a row for Ricky Zinone and a good-sized lead at the moment over Bob Day, but as we've seen Bob bowl before, we know that he is too savvy to be ready to give up, and there's your sign that he's not going to do that.
Yeah, put that split coupled with a 3-bagger by Ricky really kind of put Bob in a little bit of a hole here, so striking is his only alternative. Good carry on that one.
70 career 300 games for Bob Day, a high 825 series, and a 235 current average for Bob Day.
I like when you ask him who his favorite bowler is. His answer is Earl Anthony. Because Earl Anthony was very smooth. I mean, he's like watching, bowlers from that time.
I thought you were going to say because Earl Anthony is older, no? Well, we'll see if Bob Day can pull off an Earl Anthony come from behind in this match when we return.
The Western New York area has long been considered one of the best anywhere for the sport of bowling.
And no matter where you live, we have lanes nearby.
For top competition,
Fun with family and friends.
Great food and drink, or just a night out, we got you.
We are
The bowling proprietors
of Western New York.
Stop in and enjoy our sport today.
12X Tech Bowling Supplies is committed to continuing the decades-long tradition of excellence established by the DeSanto family. We are the ultimate destination for customer service, experience, and product variety. We offer an extensive inventory of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories. Our unique fitting and drilling process, combined with our in-house lane, ensures a perfect fit every time. With a range of repair and maintenance services, we can help keep your gear performing at its best. Consult our team today at 1000 Highland Drive in the J. Scuddy South Plaza, conveniently located off of 390 in Henrietta.
I'm Paul Peck.
And I'm Sue Nawojski. We want to see you out here bowling for the top spot on Beat the Champ.
So get to any of our great host centers and get the details on how you can be a part of the show and be our next winner.
And don't miss any of the action here on MSG every week.
Yeah, so check out the show next week or get out there and qualify and be our Beat the Champ winner.
While we were gone, Ricky Zinone kept it rolling. 2 strikes to give him 5 in a row now. And he has clearly taken control of this match against Bob Day. And that doesn't help matters for Bob. And I think the swing of the arms tells you exactly what he thought about it, and that look confirms it.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but it seems like our right-handers today have had to be a little bit more perfect. I mean, their mistakes or little differences have left difficult spares. I think Derrick has worn a groove into the left side of the lane.
Well, that's part of it too. Of course, referring to Derrick Greene, who has won 5 in a row, including 3 in a row here at ABC Gates Bowl, and he will try to make it 6 in a row versus the winner of this match. Good bounce back strike in the 8th frame for Bob.
That was the best ball he's thrown all day. That was down and in and absolutely perfect.
All right, the red hot Ricky Zinone, 5 in a row. Ricky's got a really effective mix of power and finesse, doesn't he? And he gets those pins binging and bonging and bouncing all over the place, and it keeps getting him strikes.
Look at that. It's got that break point down the lane where it needs to be.
Look how far that pin slid to the left.
It did slide quite a bit.
Down.
It did.
6 in a row for Ricky Zinone.
We've had a lot more of the traditional bowler here in Rochester. We haven't seen the two-handers like we have seen in the past.
Interesting. Surprising.
We've gone through a whole show with no two-handers. Or a whole month,
7 in a row for Ricky Zinone. Maybe they haven't heard of the two-handed bowling, you know, an hour east of Buffalo on the thruway. Yeah, it's a surprise. You know, particularly in this day and age in the sport, to have not come across a two-hander yet. So I'll tell you what, if we look like we're headed towards Ricky Zinone versus Derrick Greene, that's going to be one heck of a match coming up, because Ricky Zinone is not only bowling well, but he's on fire right now, and that's all it takes. And Derrick Greene will be the first to tell you, he has eked out his last couple of victories by the skin of his teeth, and he's going to have to bowl a lot better if Ricky Zinone keeps up what he's doing right now.
Right. Well, what Derrick hasn't seen is someone that is posting scores like this. I mean, we're looking at Ricky being able to strike out for 279. We haven't seen a 279 this month.
So here are Derrick's 3 winning scores: 213, 194, and 212. Credit to him for finding ways to win, but those are not overwhelming scores, as you mentioned. So, you know, we got ourselves one heck of a match coming. As Derrick Greene goes for 6 wins in a row and a complete sweep of the ABC Gates Bowl.
And that is no easy feat.
One more fill ball for Bob Day to post up the final score, and it's been fun getting to talk to and know Bob Day a little bit in the 2 matches that he has been on here during our stay in Rochester, and he just strikes me as one of those classic bowling center guys, the foundation guys that every time you roll in, he's there, willing to help you, willing to give you a tip, willing to give you some advice or tell you a story. Every bowling center, your bowling center has them. I know they do. Every bowling center does.
Those guys work for me.
Well, maybe that's the brilliance of your management. Is you figured out how to get those guys to work for you. It's a 187 for Bob Day on the board, and Ricky Zinone right now just wants to keep the momentum going heading into the championship match. That will end his run of 7 consecutive strikes. But with the match already sealed, it doesn't really much matter. Just keep good shots going.
So, you know, we brought up the Rochester-Buffalo matchup all along here, and comes down to the very last match here in Rochester, and it's a Buffalo guy versus a Rochester guy.
As it should be. As it should be. For some bragging rights until the next time we're back here in the Flower City. One more for Ricky. And what a way to end an incredibly impressive 258 to 187 victory. Buckle up, Zinone versus Greene for the championship of the ABC Gates Bowl is coming up next. Our host center for Beat the Champ, presented by Storm, is ABC Gates Bowl. You can find them online at abcgatesbowl.com. They are just one of our many great host centers. And if you want details on how to be a part of Beat the Champ, just stop in at any of our host centers and ask how can I be on the show? And we could be seeing you here on the lanes just like these guys in our championship match. Derrick Greene against Ricky Zinone. It's Beat the Champ presented by Storm here on MSG. And what a story Derrick Greene has been. And for those that may be just tuning in and aren't familiar with Derrick's story, other than me telling you he's won 5 weeks in a row, Sue, what can you tell everybody about what we've learned about Derrick Greene as we watch Ricky Zinone get us started here?
Well, Derrick has established himself as a student of the game. I talked to him extensively, and he keeps his notes. He keeps up on his bowling equipment. He knows what his strengths are. He knows what his weaknesses are. He knows what he wants to accomplish. And I really think he lives, eats, and breathes bowling.
And we have just seen him battle his way through this 5-week winning streak, winning in all kinds of ways, but winning in some ways because of the preparation he did, the notes he took, knowing how the conditions of the lane he's seeing change for other people and how he needs to adapt to that.
Right.
Derrick is 34 years old from Buffalo, New York.
He doesn't really let down. He takes every single shot as though he's got to make that shot to win.
Oh, boy, did he get lucky that he got 2 of those pins fall late.
I think sometimes that intensity, though, from what I've seen from watching him bowl, is that great intensity that he has can sometimes make him throw the ball a little bit too hard, and he fires it through his break point. And that emotion that he has sometimes makes him amp it up just a little bit too much. But like you also said, and he's great on his spares, and that means that he doesn't let that intensity stop there and just be upset about that shot. He lets it go and uses that same intensity to make his spare.
Yeah, and he's going to win matches, not lose them, by making any mistakes that allow an opponent to sneak back in. Now, all that said, as we have clearly said, he has pulled a few rabbits out of the hat in order to win in this 5-in-a-row streak. Just, Mike Zarcone struggling at the end of last week's show. 2 weeks ago, all but done and lost, and all Nathan Pinot needed was, 4 pins, and he only gets 2, and that gives Derrick a 1-pin victory in the championship match. So, like anything else, you need a lot of talent, you need a little luck.
Well, the shot right here they just made certainly didn't go the way he expected it to go.
That might be the worst shot we've seen him throw in 5 weeks.
Yep, and I feel like the way he stayed with it, I mean, he had hopes of it actually not going that way. I think he was legitimately surprised by the result.
So that's a rare open frame for Derrick Greene in the second. And again, it's early, which means you have time to come from behind on it. But that might be a bit of a door opening for 38-year-old Ricky Zinone from here in Greece, New York.
And Derrick just went over to the other ball return and picked up a ball and put it on the rack, so that might mean a ball change for him based on what he saw.
Almost exactly the same. You are speechless.
It is the same leave. That just got to the break point way too soon.
How do you make this?
Well, you're just gonna shoot the 3 pins on the left and wrap it around, which is another bad break.
All right, well, once again, as we have talked about so many times, Derrick Greene gets bailed out to some degree from his mistake by the other guy making a similar mistake. So spares in the first frame, opens in the second for both guys. Here we are even again.
I think that was mostly why I was speechless, because it's just so many times that we've seen it where the matches, the opponent has had Derrick where they want to have him and has totally let up on him and not taking advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, you could not have said it better. That's exactly what has happened. in a number of those matches where Derrick left the door open and the opponent chose not to step through.
I mean, Ricky's averaged 250 for 2 games.
Yeah, 258, 243 in wins over Shaq Strong and Bob Day to get here.
So there is some kind of intimidation factor that Derrick's giving off.
Hey, he is 7-0 on Beat the Champ overall. He has won 5 weeks in a row. That in itself is intimidating.
And, I feel like he's bowling his own game. I feel like he's only focused on what he can do. There is no defense in bowling, and I feel like he knows that. And he takes every single shot and gives it his all. But I don't think he's thinking about his opponent. I think he's just thinking about his next shot.
First strike of the match for either bowler is Derrick Greene's strike in the 3rd frame. Let's see if he can't put a run together. A great mix of power and finesse with that cupped left-handed approach, and the eyes tell you the story of another somewhat surprising miss for Derrick.
Well, here we go again with the lane that's just a little bit tighter. That ball went longer down the lane. It missed its break point, went through it, and started to make its turn much further down than he wanted it to, leaving the light hit. Great
Good.
spare.
Another terrific spare pickup by Derrick Greene. So we're a little all over the place right now in this match, which just means we have no idea who is in control of it right
And
now.
right now, nobody is. I mean, this couldn't be any closer. If he strikes here, we are tied at 45 in the 3rd frame. So if he doesn't strike, he's going to be down a pin or 2.
Boy, that looked good all the way down the lane.
No, he got that in, and he didn't like it.
Really?
He knows he caught a break there, yeah. If you look at it, that was left. That was right of his target. I'm thinking about it as a right-hander, but that was right of his target. I mean, as it stands, he's trying to get it. He's trying to push it way far down the lane.
Yeah, you're right. His reaction tells you that he thought the same thing. He did not like it at all. Well, sometimes you need a few of those. You need a few of those. No, 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 yes.
Now, if he can use this to his advantage, he can go up. He can go up 10 pins in this match with a strike here.
And a little piggyback on the pin there to get a few of them down, but still leave the 10 up.
Yep, this is the lane that goes a little bit longer. Nobody's going to get away from Derrick. Nobody's going to run away and get too far away from him.
No, and that's part of his brilliance. It's a spare in the 5th for Ricky Zinone. This is a tight back-and-forth championship match. More of Beat the Champ from ABC Gates Bowl next.
What is it about bowling that captivates us so much? Mastery of the game is impossible, but perfection is just within reach. Success seems to lie 60 feet ahead, but the real battle takes place 6 inches between your ears. So if no matter how many times you fail, you would still do anything, and I mean anything, just to get 1% better. We know exactly how you feel.
Hey, Paul, what are you doing?
Hey, Sue. Hey, didn't you hear? We're bowling on MSG. I've got to practice.
No, Paul, we're not bowling on MSG. We're hosting bowling on MSG.
Oh, thank goodness, because there is no way I was going to be ready. Beat the Champ here on MSG. Soon Nawojski and I will bring you all the action. We'll see you on the lanes.
Paul, were you going to bowl in a suit?
What is it about bowling that captivates us so much? Mastery of the game is impossible, but perfection is just within reach. Success seems to lie 60 feet ahead, but the real battle takes place 6 inches between your ears. So if no matter how many times you fail, you would still do anything, and I mean anything, just to get 1% better. We know exactly how you feel.
Well, while we were gone, Derrick Greene went strike spare, and then Ricky Zinone struggled with an open in the 6th frame as he left himself a difficult split. So now to the 7th for Ricky Zinone, fighting back from that open and fighting to the fact that we're running out of frames for him to make a run here to put the pressure on Derrick. That's a big, important 7th frame strike.
Yeah, when they were neck and neck and almost tied going through the first half of this game, that open changed things and gave Derrick a automatic 13-pin lead. The best Ricky can do now is just continue to strike.
And now it's up to Derrick to try to take advantage of that. So in case you're wondering, as I mentioned, this is a chance for Derrick to win his 6th week in a row. The record for Beat the Champ goes all the way back to the 1970-71 season when the legendary Nin Angelo won 19 consecutive weeks. And you ask any bowler of any age in Buffalo, New York, that say the name Nin Angelo to them, and they know exactly who you're talking about. Their grandfather, their father, their brother, their uncle told them about what Nin Angelo did in 1970.
Yeah, he was definitely well known. And that's definitely a feat, but you almost feel as though the more you start to win, you just get over that hump, and you do become, it starts to feel like that person is unbeatable. And it's almost like an intimidation factor to the bowlers coming up that you almost feel like you can't beat them.
And we're far from the record, but right now, 5 in a row with a chance to make it 6 is one amazing achievement for Derrick Greene and a chance to sweep the month here at the ABC Gates Bowl. He came from Buffalo's Manor Lanes as the champion and has won all 3 up until now with a chance to then go back to Buffalo as the champion for next week. And that's an open miss on the spare in the 8th frame, and that look and reaction from Derrick tells you a lot.
That is very uncharacteristic of Derrick. And Ricky is in a position with a strike posted up that he could turn this match around and gain control of it.
And you've already said the exact same thing, once or twice already in the last 15 minutes.
Yes, I did. Big shot here.
No, boy, it was close. He just needed something to bump one of those pins. You heard Ricky yell something as soon as he threw it.
Well, you can see how his arm is still elevated up. Was him executing to his target, which is so far down the lane at this point on lane 41. On lane 40, it's still tighter down the lane, but he threw the best shot he possibly could on that lane.
Spare in the 8th frame for Ricky Zinone.
We have a tie.
Awesome.
If he strikes here, we are knotted up in the 8th frame.
That's exactly what we want.
Nothing better than taking a long month and ending it with a roll-off.
You bet. We ended our month-long stay at Manor Lanes last month with a roll-off that Derrick Greene was able to come up with the win. Could we be facing another one? Same thing on that 7-pin lead for Ricky Zinone.
Another great shot.
And I think you can see he's getting a little frustrated that he's making great shots but not getting great results. Oh, he saw it, he knew it, he thought it, and then he didn't. Have I told you that our reaction shots are my favorite part of Beat the Champ?
It's really great with the replays to be able to catch it.
It shows you the emotion that takes over these guys in the middle of these matches. All right, 9th frame for Derrick Greene, the winning streak on the line.
He's got a 1-pin lead.
Ugh, another ridiculously difficult leave for Derrick Greene.
There's no question lane 41 is the challenging lane.
Look at that. A 4, 6,
bites up
10.
early.
And he only gets one. That's back-to-back opens for Derrick Greene in frames 8 and 9. And we will see if only getting one and leaving two winds up burning a guy who's won at least one of these championship matches by 1 pin.
And that really is a rule of thumb. Unless you need the spare to win, you always get the pin count. You never want to lose by 1 pin when you gave it up on count.
10th frame. And again, the troubles continue and the shake of the head for Derrick Greene. This time it's a 4-7. So Derrick has got to get this spare and got to get a strike to put the pressure on Ricky.
There was a lot of space between those 2 pins.
Yes,
that made me
was.
nervous.
That was a little tougher shot than it might have looked like. So we still have a tie in play. We still have the chance for Ricky Zinone to win it in play. A lot of it depends on this. And that's a great way to end what's been a frustrating 160 for Derrick Greene.
But we have seen players have to come up and make something that you would think would be an average shot, and it work out to be different.
Yeah,
so.
Well, again, Derrick, don't hang your head too low. You know better than anybody that this is not over yet. You might think a 160 isn't good enough to win, but as you said and as we have seen, you never know. So Ricky Zinone just needs to be clean here. And there's a strike. And Ricky Zinone, with that strike, has ended the run of Derrick Greene. You heard the crowd cheering on, and it wasn't pretty, but it got what he wanted.
You have to get it down the lane on 41, and he did.
And then he comes back with a much more effective and powerful strike. So it's Ricky Zinone is our latest Beat the Champ winner. We'll talk to him when we return in a moment.
The Western New York area has long been considered one of the best anywhere for the sport of bowling.
And no matter where you live, we have lanes nearby.
For top competition,
Fun with family and friends.
Great food and drink, or just a night out, we got you.
We are
The bowling proprietors
of Western New York.
Stop in and enjoy our sport today.
12X Tech Bowling Supplies is committed to continuing the decades-long tradition of excellence established by the DeSanto family. We are the ultimate destination for customer service, experience, and product variety. We offer an extensive inventory of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories. Our unique fitting and drilling process, combined with our in-house lane, ensures a perfect fit every time. With a range of repair and maintenance services, we can help keep your gear performing at its best. Consult our team today at 1000 Highland Drive in the J. Scuddy South Plaza, conveniently located off of 390 in Henrietta.
I'm Paul Peck.
And I'm Sue Nawojski. We want to see you out here bowling for the top spot on Beat the Champ.
So get to any of our great host centers and get the details on how you can be a part of the show and be our next winner.
And don't miss any of the action here on MSG every week.
Yeah, so check out the show next week or get out there and qualify and be our Beat the Champ winner.
Beat the Champ is sponsored by Storm, the Bowlers Company, and by the Bowling Proprietors Association of Western New York. Stop in and enjoy our sport today. You ready to make the trip to Buffalo next month?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Ricky is ready. He is our new champion. We'll see you from the Tonawanda Bowling Center in New York next week on Beat the Champ, presented by Storm.